Good afternoon. It's March 22nd, 2023, and today's just a range day. We had the FOMC announcement at 11 or whatever, FOMC something, that caused a bunch of volatility. So it's really fun to watch prices print during this stuff, but you just have to be so careful taking trades. And you can see we broke out to the high side pretty far up. We came back, corrected, bounced off this midline, made a couple legs up before making this second leg down. Perhaps this is a measured. So almost a perfect measured move, and you can see those two measured legs of correction in between those two legs. Excuse me. And yeah, you can just be drawing these measured moves all day on days like today and play around with them. So originally we had this range in the overnight, and you just draw a measured move off that, and you see this leg up. We got a measured leg up there. I'll delete those. And if you measure from the lows to this high, you get almost a measured move there, and then you draw the measured move of the measured move, and that's where we bounced up here. So just some fun stuff. This second entry short that's forming right now, I'd probably stay away from it because it looks like to me like this is an overshoot, which would lead us to a break, but I could be wrong. We'll see in a minute or two. But anyway, let's take a look at the trades. So I didn't like anything in here, but let's take another look, because there seems to be some consistency, around where you might think is like a midline in between the lows and this measured move. But I don't really see it. I mean, you get this lower high at 5 a.m. That I don't think you can take. If you draw it like that, it doesn't. We don't have a convincing break, so I don't really like taking a short. We come down here and we just continue to bounce. This isn't off a trend line, or else I'd argue for taking that. You can see that though. Look, it looks like we got two measured legs of correction, and we just came short of that. So we keep testing that price level. I mean, this is so congestive, I don't think you can take anything, but maybe you take this super bullish bar on the quadruple test. I'll mark it green because it closes above the EMA. Maybe you take it. And we're just bouncing off the opening price, and then we rocket on up. I don't think you can take that. And then we come up here, almost hit that measured move, and I like this lower high because it looks like we have a leg up, a break, and a move to a new high. And even if you draw it more like let's say I don't know, like that. That's probably not right. I mean, it's probably just like this. So you have a break, move to a new high, and then we get a lower high here with room back to the EMA. I liked it in real time, but what I realized was this gap in between these two very bullish bars. And when you see something like that, it might act as support, and I think that's what happened. So this trade ends up working, and it ends up being a good trade, but I think that's why we found congestion. And really, I mean, you could say you could argue that all of these are inside bars of this. So that's another reason to mark that green. But anyway, we form this channel down. You get an overshoot that leads to a break, and just so much overlap and congestion here before we go lower. Perhaps this is one of two legs down here. Well, that would have been the measured move there. So it went a little further before bouncing. Unfortunately, this looks good, but it's just the first entry, and this is just too congestive. We break out to the low side, it fails. Higher low here. If you're feeling aggressive, maybe you take that, but you end up getting a second entry long. This one might be a little more aggressive. It looks like congestion, but it is second entry long, and I mean, we're on the lower end of this range, so you might be going higher. But that's also aggressive because it's like less than a half an hour before the news announcement. Then we have all this craziness in here. Prices failed to break out to the high side. They come back, test the midline, try and go higher again. Again, that's one leg down, 2 legs of correction, and then you get a failed second entry long. That's also a second entry short. I think you should take that, and ends up being a good move. We come down to that measured move, and you get a higher low. Actually, you get a failure with plenty of room back to the EMA. On a range day like today, near the lows, I think it's worth the risk. And we start trending up. And actually, technically, this is a second entry long. I don't think you want to take that. This just looks like too many dojis. And you get a break and a couple legs up to a new high. This might be the break. 1, 2 legs up to a new high. And this kind of looks like a failure, but it's technically not. But you could also argue for it to be a double test. You could argue for it to be a second entry short. And we're way up near these highs, and it really just doesn't have the feel of a trend day. So I think that might be worth the risk. Turns out to be a big move down. There's probably plenty of people who are also playing a channel closer to something like that. But either way, if you draw it off these swings up here, this looks like a channel because of the midline. And yeah, now we're getting a new high. So this one I would have stayed away from. But this one, that's pretty tempting. I'll mark that as green. Because I thought perhaps this was the channel. And it could be a channel people were playing, but we never got confirmation of it. So you'd probably want to be playing more shorter term stuff. But even still, I mean, it's tough to take that when we're supposed to be coming up to these highs. But anyway, let's get back to these trades. So we start trending down. We're going towards the lows, and you do get a second entry short that also you might argue to be a double test. But we're at these lows where we've been bouncing. So just not the greatest range setup. It continues to go lower. And so now with this, the bias felt like it was down. Before it felt like the bias was up, but with this move down, this was a very strong move down. Felt like the bias was down, and we come back up here. You get this leg of correction, break, couple legs up to a new high, and you get a failed second entry long. And like I said, the bias felt like it was down. Yeah, we had strong buying coming in, but maybe you take that. Only problem is it's a range day, and you're right at what I was looking at all day as the midline. So it's aggressive. And then we make these moves down, and so this channel has a new low now. So we could reverse, we could keep going lower. I gotta at least mark this green now. But you know, this is a tough call. It's a range day, and we're near the lows. Could this be a smaller range too? Who knows? Doesn't look like it. It looks like this is a range, and then it looks like we had a couple breakouts to me, like that. So tough call. I think this lower high is more tempting. But yeah, you can see plenty of people like that. I mean, the bias, I don't know how to explain it. Most of the people watching this, I would guess, are just as experienced as me. And so when I say that, sometimes you just have to be watching the charts to get a feel for things. Most of the viewers probably understand that, but that's how I saw it today. I hope everyone had a great day. I'll be back tomorrow.